Ooh, ooh, not live today, so you guys are catching us on the back end, but David and I early on a Tuesday morning, starting 2026 off right. David texted me last week. He goes, "Kloof, I think we got to start the new year with a little 25 recap, put a bow on it, and then we preview that off season. And there's really no better time to do it right now. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. On the walk-on side, I'm going to give this audio file to David as well if he wants to post it on there, because this is a 50-50 thing. So if the swarm, this is like a pseudo swarmcast, uh,
Yeah.
washed up swarmcast here, and there is a lot to talk about. There really is no better time. The transfer portal's open. I'm looking. If Indiana has money, I'll go there. They seem to be getting everybody. Everybody wants to be a Hoosier right now. The Washed Up Walk-Ons, sponsored by FanDuel into the new year, is on the open market. We'll go in the portal and we'll be a Hoosier podcast if they have enough money for us. But David, welcome to 2026. Welcome back to the show. First of all, thank you for joining me last season for year 2 of the Power Hour.
People like it. So, I mean, we just may as well keep it going, right? I mean, I think you and I are both pretty happy with the results and the feedback that we've been getting. Maybe it's our own little niche, but I mean, I have a lot of fun with it. And it's just kind of a different way to analyze the week rather than, not that the same old's bad, but it's nice to just kind of have a different couple twists in it every once in a while too.
I agree. I think chemistry is maybe one of the more important pieces of content when you're looking at like conversations. And
Yeah.
I have a groove with Grant when it's me and Grant. I have a groove with Kevin when it's me and Kevin, the three of us. Drake and I did an episode where it was just him and I, and that's pretty rare anymore because he's off doing his own thing, but we have our own chemistry that has a different feel. And I think you coming on specifically with me coming from the former player side, you from the beat writer side, kind of following the recruiting, it's a unique twist that I really enjoy. A lot of fans have given us great feedback on it. The Power Hour returns. New year, same power. Maybe more power. Maybe David will be in the gym this year.
Well, tell you what, I mean, I do need to. And honestly, so I just closed on a townhome with my girlfriend and Marion, and there's a gym literally 90 seconds away from the apartment. So I'm like, I mean, from the house. So I'm like, well, I got no excuse anymore.
No excuses.
It might be bulking season, Tyler. Might have to really get after it.
2026, year of jacked David.
Yeah, shredded Dave coming at you.
Love it. Well, we hope. I wish you the best on that endeavor.
Might have to hit you up on that a little bit.
Yeah, we could do some stuff. Right before we hopped on here, David had to take a second, and this was going to work its way into the conversation anyway because we are going to talk portal, and we will recap the 25. But right as we're recording this, Kamari Brown out of Elon University, DeMarco, who we often reference, we've had on the show several times, former strength coach during our time at Iowa, deemed him a fucking weapon when I reached out and asked about this kid. David, what are we getting with this D end out of Elon University?
I mean, yeah, I think a couple things. One, I think Iowa's really done a great job in the portal early. I mean, they're landing their top targets. I know some people might look at the name of the school and kind of roll their eyes, and I get that to a degree, but like these dudes are standouts at their level. And most importantly, they have multiple years still available to them, right? So I mean, you go look at, Kamari Brown. And Iowa likes the 1 year guys, but at the same time, like when you're talking about, defensive end, when you're talking about DB, when you talk about getting that Phil Parker tutelage, right? And that knowledge base, you want guys to be in the system for multiple years. Obviously, that's what Tim Lester would love too. But just going back to last season with Brown, 66 tackles, 16 for loss, 12 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. 6'2", I think about 6'2.5", 230 pounds. They'll probably add another 20 or so. Explosive off the edge, a wide variety of moves. And you summed it up best based on your source for that. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to compete for the 2 deep. And you look at the edge right now, Tyler, I mean, there's a lot of playing time available. There's a lot of snaps. It's going to be really interesting to see who kind of emerges because I'm not going to shove off, Kennedy and some of the younger guys that Iowa has in that room as well. Jose Epinesa, obviously there's a world of expectation on him. And what I've heard behind the scenes is he's continued to make strides. Get Kamari Brown on campus. get through spring football, be able to learn the system. I think he can be a weapon because, I mean, we'll get to it a little bit later, Tyler. But like, I'm very encouraged about going into next year. Just at this point, with where Iowa sits at. But yeah, Kamari Brown. I think once he entered the portal, once I heard Iowa was targeting him, he was probably my number one guy on my board. There's a list of three, and there's
The
still names
David
that
Big Board.
it's that, and it was Anthony Hawkins, the Villanova DB. Like you can't teach a 6'3" productive safety. You just can't, and especially with the safety help Iowa needs, they need him out of the portal. But the other guy I'm looking at is the Kent State wide receiver that I believe is currently on campus. Dude, I think he had 19 catches, 500 yards on 19 catches, and 7 touchdowns.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous production.
That
And I
doesn't
believe
even
he was
make
a running back. He was a running back the year before too. So they converted him to wide receiver. So he's just learning how to play wide receiver. But yeah, huge for Kamari Brown. I think Iowa's done a really good job in the portal early.
Yeah, and we'll I'm gonna pull it up and we'll go over. We kind of touched on this on our Monday episode. This is coming out on Thursday the 8th. So this is actually 2 days post when this is going to come out. If you're on the Patreon, it'll come out Wednesday. So a little bit sooner, closer to the action of some of these commits. We'll touch on everybody who's in and out quickly because that's sort of David's thing as well. I love that. I think this Brown kid probably weighs more than 230 based on his film.
I think I'm going based on the posted weight. That's the other thing too. Like
I think a lot of people see that. They see the numbers. That's like, is that? I know firsthand. If you go back and look at Tyler Kluver on the Iowa football roster right now, you can search as you're listening to this. It says 6 foot 225. There was not a single day between 2013 and 2017 when I was in the program where I was 6 foot or 225. So there was one time. I've told the story. We were I got a little heavy during a bowl prep. Coach Doyle called me out. I had to do some extra conditioning, but I wouldn't put a ton of stock into those numbers. I would bet that kid's closer to the 240s. And I think you're right, David. An edge can be a little bit lighter. Pass rusher. They're trying to go for speed. Get him up to that 260 range, 270-ish range, maybe, depending on how well he can play, how well he moves. I love that get. And I trust DeMarco, and he's got good intel there. The Villanova DB is intriguing as well. I like that. Like you said, 6'3", and both of these guys have multiple years. Is that real?
Yes.
Love that.
I mean, that's the other thing with it. You need it.
You made a great point as far as the system and learning how Coach Parker and that defensive staff wants to get things done. The mental side of the ball and understanding the schematics is a huge part of that. We'll just stay on the portal first. I know there's a lot of questions. I reached out to Twitter. David retweeted it. Hey, we're going to record this thing. What are the biggest topics you want to hit on? We'll just stay in the portal here for a second. Holy Cross. We had an inside guy on that D line. What's he looking like?
Yeah, Bryce Stevenson, run stopper. And the thing that drives me nuts, I think Iowa fans do a pretty good job of understanding this. But it's so funny to me when people stat watch defensive tackles or nose tackles because that almost actually has no impact on what they actually do, right? I mean, they're there to clog up space, to stop the run, to get the guard in the center having 2 or 3 guys block one guy. Stevenson is known as a run stopper at Holy Cross, and I think when you look at Iowa's proven depth right now, they had to get another one-year guy with Jonah Pace gone, with Aaron Graves, who I thought was a really good Hawkeye throughout his career. Iowa does return Hawthorne, and there's a lot of excitement about Hawthorne and what he's going to be able to do, pair him alongside Stevenson. I think it's a very intriguing inside duo. Obviously, they've talked about putting Yosei Epinesa on the inside. I think he should stick to edge rusher. I think that's where his ceiling is, but obviously they know better than I do. But again, I think when you looked at the portal and what Iowa needed, defensive tackle is either 1A or 1B, right? Mm-hmm. Just based on the level of personnel improvement. So to get a guy that they identified
and
early,
based
I
on
think
playing
is a big
in the
deal.
Big Ten.
Yes. I mean especially with how deep they like to go at the defensive line, right?
Yeah. Rotational position,
I like
and
Stevenson.
You're playing in a conference where the name of the game is the line of scrimmage, so you have to shore that up.
Yeah. No, so I mean, again, big run stopper, takes up a lot of space eater, has played a lot of football. Like that does matter, I think. I think he's got over 1,300 plus career snaps. Like that's going to translate once he gets to Iowa. I'll be very intrigued about kind of that first two deep and the look that we'll get in on him at spring football. But there's no question that when you lose Aaron Graves, when you lose all the defensive line production that Iowa does, that's going to be one of the most interesting positions. It might be the most interesting on the defense. And I know people are thinking about linebacker. I get that. But I also think while a lot of the new linebackers haven't been proven, you've seen enough on certain special teams plays. You've seen Cam Buffington on defense. Like you get Zach Lutmer maybe in that cash position. You're feeling pretty decent about where that linebacker group sits. But they're replacing a lot. But again, I think if you're an Iowa fan, you have to be encouraged right now about the way Iowa not only has attacked it, Tyler, but they've embraced it. And they have a great understanding of the culture, guys, the value of getting multiple year guys within the system and not being afraid to, I don't want to say swing for the fences, but they really aren't worried about what anybody else does. If they identify the Villanova guy, if they identify a Holy Cross guy and they feel good about it, you trust their evaluation.
We'll hit on one more guy, the only other guy of the current 4 as of, again, Tuesday morning that has committed. We pick up a kicker commit from North Dakota State in Eli Ozick. He's going to be – well, he has multiple years as well, it looks like. He's a redshirt sophomore, so he has 2 years remaining. Was 16 of 18 for the Bison this past season, and that's a big one. We just talked about on our previous episode my concerns. I think what should be everyone's general concern of replacing, and this is one of the topics today that someone posted, replacing the entire special teams room, and not just the entire room, but the coach as well. So you fortify that position, you likely have your starters there. I guess we'll just touch on that special teams room real quick. Obviously, LeVar Woods, we have not talked since LeVar Woods has announced that he's going to Michigan State. Dakin is following him. Stevens graduates, obviously replaced by the transfer. So we need a punter. Our long snapper graduates. We have one on the roster who in the beginning of the season shared time, so you would think maybe he steps in. So we have to fill the punter spot. That punter is also going to have to hold, or maybe a quarterback. We lose Caden Weechin, so they're going to have to find some other skill guy on the team to be a returner. I think they have some guys in mind there. And we lose the coach. So there's some spots to fill in that special teams room. And the question basically was what's our most impactful loss in that special teams room, including Coach Woods? And I think Coach Woods sits at the top. You're going to have that player turnover year to year anyway. The coach is huge, especially when it's LeVar Woods, the best special teams coordinator in the country. Your thoughts on that entire special team situation?
People talk about, well, how hard is it to coach special teams? Tyler, how many good special teams coordinators are there? Like, you only talk about the bad ones.
Or the really good, or
Yes. Or think about all the Nebraska turnover. I'm a Packer fan. I've watched crappy special teams, or it feels like for the last 20 years, and they refuse to fire the special teams coordinator. Topic for a different day. LeVar Woods sits at the top. He's a guy who understood the value of special teams, was involved in a program that preaches the importance of it, and has flat out won games for Iowa over the past 5 years with great special teams play. LeVar Woods is one. With all due respect to Drew Stevens, because it's hard to be an efficient, effective kicker, efficient. I mean, we saw what happened with the Ravens. Miss one kick.
Ooh, tough.
Everybody pounces on you, right?
Tough.
It has to be Caden Weechin, man. It just does. Iowa is so good at identifying great returners and producing them. But again, LeVar Woods probably is a big part of that, right? But I made the argument about a month and a half ago, and I'll still stand by it, Tyler. I think Caden Weechin should be known as one of the best return men in Big Ten history. I just don't think the numbers lie. I think he's the best returner in Iowa history, with all due respect, Tim Dwight, Cooper DeJean, all those guys. He was just different behind there. And with the new kickoff rule, quite frankly, Caden Weechin's probably going to have a spot in the NFL, or he's going to have a lot more opportunities because of the new kickoff rule and because of what he did, right? So I think it's got to be Caden Weechin there. But I also look at some of the guys, I'd love to see Zach Lutmer return kicks. I think that would make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah.
Don't really like the idea of having a running back. I still think Iowa has that running back with that explosive second gear. Maybe they put Brevin Dahl back there just because you can't teach that sort of speed. But I mean, I think Lutmer would be probably at the top of my list. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a guy or two, but that's kind of who I'd identify early.
I know for a fact they've got Lutt was mentioned at some point, and I would bet they have 3 or 4 guys that took some
Yes.
reps. There's always so many guys out there taking those reps off the jugs machines, even if they don't get reps in the teams periods. They probably have 2 or 3 guys who are back there they feel comfortable with. There's sort of a process of finding your guy there, and they'll go through that, and I think they'll be fine. Nonetheless, you are replacing what I think is the best returner in Big Ten history when you think all things
Yep.
considered. And I went over that. I know that's a huge claim, and it's like, oh, recency bias. Like you're just excited about what he did.
There's legitimate argument for it, and
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing you could say. Because again, I think it's hard to like identify one versus two. You really dig deep into the semantics of things, and again, that's what makes sports debate fun.
Mhm.
But if you brought up that Caden Weechen's the best returner, I don't think you're getting laughed out of the room. And if you do, people just quite frankly don't know ball.
I agree. On the last front of the special teams room, before we go back to maybe some portal topic, any lead at all on a potential special teams coach or anything like that? Have you heard anything? I haven't.
Yeah.
And they said they were going to take care of that in the new year. They're not, they're all on break right now, and I know that that's probably something they want to get done pretty quickly, or if not before the guys get back, right as they get back, because that is important as they get into the off season. That coach is a recruiter. He is someone who leads that room in the off season. There's responsibilities for those guys. Do you have a feeling if they'll elevate someone assistant on staff, somebody else that's a different position coach, or are they going to look outside the program, or just absolutely no idea where they're going with that?
So I have two decent guesses, but it's not based on anything I'm hearing. This is just me kind of analyzing KF's hiring process and what he values. Number one, I think Brock Sherman, LeVar Wood's right-hand man, has to be near the top of the list, because if there's anybody that understands, again, the value of special teams, who understands the Iowa culture, who's been an integral part of game planning from the special team standpoint, I think he's the guy. I think when you go back to Eli Ozik's commitment post that he made coming to Iowa football, I think he actually tagged Brock Sherman in that. So again, I think he's a guy that you need to keep an eye on. And the other name that comes to mind, and I'm just throwing this one out there, okay? We know he loves NFL experience. We know how much he values former players coming back. How about Miles Taylor? I believe he's with the Chargers right now and does some stuff with them. That hire might make sense, because I go back to what KF said when he was asked about the new kind of hiring period and what he'd like the new candidate. And he said, and I quote, "I'd like to find the next LeVar Woods."
Yeah.
And remember, LeVar Woods wasn't just a special teams coordinator. He hopped around a couple different positions. But what I think he meant by that is there's no responsibility too little, and you're going to put everything into it. Because again, the way he ran special teams was significantly more impactful at Iowa than it would be at 90% of college programs. And that's exactly why Iowa had the edge in special teams in almost every single matchup that we'd ever talk about, right? It was because of his willingness to commit to game planning, to watch a crap ton of film, to preach to the guys. And on top of that, KF deserves a lot of credit for that, because he's built a culture on that. And I'll even give credit to Seth Wallace and the defensive coaches. They preach the younger guys to go get involved in special teams if you really want to learn how to go make an impact, right? So I think those two names would probably be near the top of my list.
I did not think about Miles. Obviously, I've known and followed that he was at South Dakota at one point, I think, and then he's bounced around. He would be a guy, played on special teams, was in the class beneath me, but graduated with us because he played right away. And he isn't, coaching experience. No, that's a good pull, David Eichel. That's a good one right there. Not to say that there's any validity to that actually happening, but he would be a guy to maybe look at an interview if he was interested. You are correct about that. The special teams philosophy, the aura, is a program-wide thing. It's not just LeVar Woods who preaches that. It is the position
Correct.
coaches. Hey, part of playing the game is just playing the game. And if you want to prove that you can be trusted, it's not necessary that if you play defensive line or running back or tight end that you have to go get reps in maybe some garbage time to prove that you can do it. There's other ways. You could go be a weapon, a factor on special teams, and then you gain trust from your teammates. You gain trust from the coaching staff. Hey, we gave him responsibility on special teams. Maybe that's a sign to come. And that's how you see a lot of these young guys develop. Tons of these starters for Iowa year in, year out. You can go back to 2 or 3 years previous and you're like, oh yeah, he was getting a lot of tackles on kickoff. He was getting, like all these different sort of indicators. So yeah, it's a tough room to replace. And there's a lot of, the other thing I'll leave you guys with special teams wise is you can replace all the guys. We could, in 2 or 3 weeks, we could have a kicker, punter, long snapper, holder, returner. The reps on the field, there is such thing as an op time, an operation, a snap, hold, kick, a snap, punt. And there is chemistry within that. All of that is going to be brand new to start 2026. It takes time. Spring ball is not going to look good, I would guess.
No.
There's a lot of work to be done. It's not that it can't be done before the season and they can't have that shirt up, but there is work to do. It's cut out for them. Where do you want to go next? Do you want to touch on 25 and just put a wrap on that?
I think we should put a bow on it. I think it's important too. I'll start by saying this. So I was on Iowa Live last night with Chelsea Brown and KCRG, and I was asked about Mark Gronowski and the portal and kind of everything. Mark Gronowski was the perfect transfer portal guy. Like if Kirk Ferentz could draw up what he would like a 1-year transfer to be, it would be Mark Gronowski. I'm not talking about just in playing quarterback in the product. I'm not talking about that. A guy who fully bought into the system, earned everyone's respect. This is a guy who was voted team captain every single week by his teammates. Stood in front of the media, absorbed all the criticism. He got killed for the first 2 weeks because he did not play well and people were panicked. He ate all that criticism and he owned it too. He said, look, I'm not playing well enough. I don't think it's not gonna last. He committed to everything, Iowa wanted him to be. I think both parties did a great job of rallying around one another. And Mark Gronowski was everything right about the transfer portal because there's a lot of wrongs with it. I have a long list I could go over.
Minchie?
But that was crazy, isn't it?
Brutal.
It's insane. Well, the other part is think about I got no hate toward this, but that Sorsby going to Texas Tech, and he's like, whoa, I was blown away by the facilities.
Yeah.
No, you weren't. Like, I don't like it's the same conference. I'm sorry. Like, I know they don't want that to be the notion that the player's playing for money, but when there's this much money there, like, don't feed into that BS. Like, I'm not mad at it. Go get your money, but like, yeah, it was just the facilities and the way they rallied around one. Like, no, it wasn't.
I wish one time somebody would come out and be like, with their
gave me a hell of a deal.
With their blessed post or like, God is good or whatever they want to say. But then also in there, just be like, and to be honest, they offered a bag and I'm trying to get that guap up, baby.
What's so funny too, and I'll get back to 25 in a second, but like with all the craziness with Iowa State and all the players that left, I can't remember what Cyclone account tweeted it, but it was so funny to me. Because, and again, I'm not bashing on any player or anything like that, but like they were all like, after a lot of prayer, talking to my family, I've decided, I'm decommitting. They go to Penn State. And then the top comment I saw from a Cyclone account was like, why does God hate the Cyclones?
God must just hate it.
And I've seen that come across a couple other fan bases, but like it's so funny to me just the way like everything's gone. But it goes back to it. Like I get it. It's pay for play, and again, that's where we are. I'm not mad at like let's call it what it is. But again, with all the bad that the transfer portal is, Mark was everything right about it. And I say going into the bowl game, Tyler, I'm going to stand by it. This team freaking deserved to beat a ranked team. They deserve to go out the way they did. They were way too good. And it sounds, hypocritical saying that. They were way too good to only be a 9-win team. Like, they were good enough to be a potential, including a bowl game. They were good enough to be a potential 11-win team. They were. I think they're the best team since 2015.
I think they are too. Schedule was just much harder than it's been with the and people like to shit on Iowa for the division thing. There's credence to it. It for a long time, Northwestern, Illinois for a long time, Purdue, like that was a tough Nebraska. I mean, 4 of the 7 teams on that side were just, and even Iowa's had Minnesota's number forever. It was really just Wisconsin every year. It was a battle between Iowa and Wisconsin for like, and Minnesota had a year or two in there.
Northwestern had come out of nowhere. Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Twice. Yeah. They just a random year and win the West. But like, there was probably a win or two on the season average that you could chalk up to, yeah, they're in the West. Now you're not going to have that. Doesn't mean you won't have potentially even an easier schedule than you would have had in the West, because it opens you up to get lucky some year and get all of the bottom teams of the conference. But it does allow the possibility for years like this to happen where you play Penn State, down year for them, but still Oregon, Indiana. Next year, you've got Washington.
By the way, Oregon, Indiana, part of the Final Four in the college football playoff, and Iowa was a legit 2 plays away from beating both of them.
Yeah. So they were a good team. The record won't reflect like some of the past KF years. But I think, you could look at that in the 2015 season as well. I think a lot of people look at, that 2009, 2002 through 4 years and, similar records there, but there's like a lot of people consider a significant gap between the 2002 team and some of the other teams. The record doesn't tell the full story. This team was great, had some great stories, and Mark was the perfect guy to come in as a seasoned guy and experience some difficulty early, but just trust that, hey, I've thrown for 10,000 yards and played in national championships, and I know how to play football. And he really helped weather his veteranness helped weather that early part of the season, and they were able to come out pretty good on the backside of it. So, and I do love the ranked win at the end of the year.
I'll say this too, and we'll talk about 26 and project a little bit about 26 because I really want to. Man, there's going to be a lot of breakout candidates for Iowa next year. Like, it really is hard not to feel good about where Iowa sits right now. Now, they need wide receiver help. They got to get some dudes, and they have to continue to move the pass game forward. This will be the first offseason where Tim Lester has multiple years to work with the same quarterback and going through spring, right? That's a massive deal. I'm very excited to see Jeremy Hecklinski. I don't think they're going to go in the portal for a quarterback. I know people keep asking me. I don't. At this point, I just don't see that they need to. They're going to use the money elsewhere. Okay, and that's exactly what they should do. DJ Vanami. I'm telling you, man. Again, on KCRG last night, I said DJ Vanami, Iowa, get used to hearing that on Sundays. That dude is going to be up there with any tight end that Iowa's had. Needs to improve his run blocking a little bit. Got beat on a couple stunts in the bowl game. But did he not just look like a Sam Laporta hybrid in the passing game over the last 2 games of the season? Like, I think about that one catch and run he had against Vanderbilt where he caught it over the middle. Somebody tried to take his leg out. He put his hand in the dirt, stayed up, and then ran another 35, 40 yards.
Sprinted fast.
He's going to be a freaking dude. He had drop issues through the first half of the year, but you could tell Mark had a lot of trust in him at the end of the season. And I'm telling you, like, I think he's going to have like 650, 700 receiving yards next year. I'm fully bought in on DJ Vanami. I am bought in on Zach Lutmer. I am bought in on Trevor Lauk. I am bought in. I've been on the Cam Buffington train since he committed to Iowa. I think that dude's an absolute freaking unit.
Yeah, I think we're sitting on another All-American maybe.
Like, the defensive line has to come together, special teams have to come together. But as far as like the impact skill position players that are young, you're thinking, okay, now let's see what happens with it. For the passing game and the defensive line, man, and the specialist. 3 things I'm looking at immediately.
We'll roll it back around to, because a lot of the questions were about that. the quarterback. As it sits right now, the portal's been open for 5 days. With there being one portal window now, and it being, there's another 10 days worth of it as we record this. But if you're a guy in the portal, or if you're a school in the portal looking for a specific position, in this instance, theoretically a quarterback, you're already behind. I just don't see Iowa, if they already haven't, going and getting a quarterback. It's too late. Every quarter, this is the portal might be open for 2 weeks. It's a day one or before it opens kind of deal when you're looking for the high profile guys like that. They told us we like what we have in Brown and Heklinski, and Bessinger comes in in the summer.
In the summer, true? Tyler Barnes kind of wanted him to. He has said he doesn't push guys to come on campus early, but he's like, well, if he wants to, like, I'm going to tell him it might be a good idea. But I think he's playing basketball for one more year for his high school.
It's rare that a freshman could push, but that's a 4-star that we flipped and like is a top 10, right around top 10 quarterback in the country in this class. They like what they have. They told us that. They weren't bullshitting. They're serious. And I don't have any reason, I don't think anybody has any reason to not trust Tim Lester, who I think it's pretty clear has full control of not just the offense, but the guys he puts in that quarterback room at this point. So
yeah,
I feel cautiously optimistic about that. You were talking about how we've been aggressive in the portal. We're getting the guys who we want. I do think that some of the fans get caught up in that, oh, we're not getting any Power 4 guys to come over and all this stuff. I think the caution there is there's going to be a couple of those dudes who are already Power 4 guys and have played well that go somewhere, and it's fun for that school to be like, wow, look at this big time guy we got. More often than not, I think anymore, if you're getting a guy from another big time school, it's probably for a reason that like they didn't do well there, or something went wrong there. Whereas Iowa really, and it falls right in line with the developmental program kind of thing. Iowa goes and gets people who are proven at a lower level. I just caution people on the name brand kind of thing. I know it's Villanova, it's North Dakota State, it's Holy Cross, it's Elon. I get it, but just trust the process a little bit, huh?
Here's why I'd say to people. If people leave a Power 4 team, typically it's either A, because they're outstanding, they're chasing a bigger bag. Sam Levitt, Brandon Sorsby, all those guys, right? Or they aren't getting snaps.
Yeah.
Where I'm going with this, and again, I've defended recruiting rankings. Hell, it's part of our brand. I think 24/7 does a terrific job. When you're 2 years out of high school, 2 or 3 years out of high school, and you transfer, and you're not that productive, Tyler, you're just another guy.
Yeah.
Stars don't carry you no more. Like if it's a 4 or 5-star guy and they transfer after the first year, I still think there's a little bit of that sex appeal there. To be like, oh, okay, like they could easily just break out in a new system, right? But again, like if you're a top 15 recruit and you've played 45 snaps in your career over the first 2.5 years, congrats. There's a 3-star at the school you're going to that's already played 400 snaps. Yeah. That came from the same recruiting class. If you both entered the portal at the same time, who's getting ranked higher based on film? Right. We all know who it is. So again, I love recruiting rankings. I think they're good for a lot of things. But once you're in the midst of the system, kind of you are what you are at that point.
I agree. It takes us to a spot where I think everybody, other than the D-line, you've mentioned it, everybody knows. It's like, man, we need another guy in the wide receiver room. RVZ, we probably underestimated the difference he could have made in the first half of the season when he was hurt from that freak injury of walking up the stairs. DJV obviously came on in the back half of the season. He's a tight end. He's going to be a pass catcher for the Hawkeyes. David just said he'll have 500 plus yards next year. 2 questions, 2-pronged. How does Iowa present themselves with this, the stereotype and the reputation of the past few years to a potential wide receiver target in the portal. And where are we with the two that I think are most well known at this point? The guy from Kent State and then a guy from a school I didn't even know was real, UT RVG.
By the
Rio
way, it's
Grande
the
Valley.
first year. It's the first year of that school's
Okay.
playing, I believe, like high level football.
Okay.
So at least
I know,
there's the excuse there.
sure. Those are the two guys I've seen as a potential wide receiver target for Iowa.
A bigger bag.
Sure.
I mean, I don't mean to disrespect Iowa like that, but like, how do you sell yourself? You had one game of over 200 passing yards all season long.
Yeah.
146 of them went to the tight end in the game that went for over 200, right?
Yeah.
I think it goes back to you sell Tim Lester and what he did at his last outing and say, look, we didn't have the horses in the stable to do what I really want to do. And I've said that all year long to you, right? Like once the year got going, I said, look, I think they want to run more. I think Tim Lester has a lot more in his bag. I just don't think they're quite at the level to be able to go do it. So I think that's the way you sell yourself. And honestly, if you're looking to go pro, which all these guys are, or at least 90% of them, and you are the wide receiver that gets an all Big Ten honor, and you're the one who gets 800 yards in Iowa's system.
Yeah.
Do you know how damn good that's going to look to scouts? Because Iowa just hasn't had anybody to do that.
You could sell them on that. Hey, you're the guy that does it in Iowa's offense.
You have to do it that way, and you have to pay more. Especially, and that's where Iowa, I don't want to say has the advantage of, but like they're able to do that because think about in years prior when they were trying to sell themselves to wide receivers, and they weren't legally allowed to pay them. All right, you're getting 300,000 from this school. We'll give you $500,000. Where's the kid probably going to go?
Yeah,
he's probably going to Iowa, depending on the other offers, right? I mean, I think that's how you have to sell it until Iowa proves it otherwise. But the other aspect of it too, it's wide open playing time entering next season. Reese Vanderzee, but you lose Jacob Gill, you lose Sam Phillips. Seth Anderson. I mean, the only other guy I'd throw in there is maybe Dayton Howard.
Yeah.
But, and again, just the way the portal structure works right now, Tyler, like I'm still not convinced Iowa doesn't lose more players.
Sure.
Like I'll go, and I'm not saying this from my conspiracy theory standpoint. I'm going to what Kelvin Bell said in the middle of the season when he talked to me. He said, look, we'll see who's on the roster next year. I'm not penciling anybody in until I get the end of year meeting and I tell them and the portal closes. So like, that's why I'm on ultra red high alert all the time throughout the next week and a half. If Iowa has another running back into the portal, I wouldn't 100% surprise me. If Iowa has a wide receiver enter the portal, hell, I think a lot of us didn't expect Brian Allen to enter the portal because he was a guy who a lot of people thought was going to get a lot of playing time next season. Now, again, I don't know what conversations take place behind closed doors. I haven't inquired about that. But there's always one or two surprises, it feels like, in this cycle. So I'm just kind of waiting and seeing what Iowa has to work with. But to sell it to wide receivers,
yep,
money means that you got to overpay.
It's tough because you're not Indiana. You're not going to get Ian Strong. You're not going to get Nick Marsh, two of the bigger wide receiver transfers in the Big Ten in this cycle. But you can get a dude or two. And I think the selling point specifically this year is Tim Lester. Look what he's done with the offense. Look how many points Iowa's scoring. Look at the ascension, right? There's a lot of data points to say why wouldn't Iowa's offense take a step in year 3? And then I look right to the room of the wide receivers and the quarterback. We love Mark Gronowski. Thank you, Mark, for everything you did. I hope he comes on our show and we have a great episode. But the thing that Mark wasn't was what they've been calling Hecklinski for a couple months now, and that's a gunslinger. If we're rolling with Hecklinski in 2026, sounds like he wants to throw the damn ball. Sounds like he's pretty good at it. So they might throw it more. And with that wide receiver room, like you said, RVZ and Dayton Howard have some a lot of potential. I think RVZ's a good, solid one. Dayton still has some questions to answer. You're the guy or one of the guys immediately. And we don't have to pay a lot to our wide receiver room because it's not a spread offense. It's not so there's more money theoretically in our wide receiver room than there are in others available. So there's some selling points. It's not the best.
Just wrap RVZ in bubble wrap a week before the season.
I know.
And don't allow him to get up or move or anything. But like when we've talked about RVZ and utilizing him, it's exactly what they did in the bowl game. And I was so happy to finally see it. Just throw it there. Great pass, by the way, by Mark. Great catch by RVZ. I thought Mark had a lot of great throws in that game against Vanderbilt. But to make that throw in for RVZ and to trust him to say, hey, bud, go get it. He went up and got it. Like, that's what people want to see. And I think that's been such a missing component here over the past couple of years. Yes, there's a lot in the passing game, like Iowa's missed. But they haven't been a threat in the red zone to throw the ball what feels like years.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a legitimate red zone guy that can go up and grab it. So it will be interesting how they are able to do that. I think they need 2 wide receivers. I think there is a realm of possibilities they only take 1. But some of the guys they got on campus, again, they're speedy guys. They've been productive. But the other side of it, too, is you got to give them the ball, and you have to give them a chance to do it. When it comes back to Hecklinski, I remember us talking about the open fall practice, and we were charting everything. Tyler, 2 of Hecklinski's first 3 throws, 35, 40 yard. That dude just uncorked it, reached for the stars. You would have thought it was freaking USC. Oh, dude. I mean, they were – I'm like, okay. This is a guy who doesn't give a rip. And I mean that. Like, it's awesome, though.
You bring up a good point with we have a couple guys, transfer portal. There are other guys on the roster who could make a jump. There's a Stinson kid coming in next year's class.
I was just about to bring him up.
Wide receiver is typically a spot, running back, wide receiver, where guys can play as young guys. They just go and make plays. So there's still an opportunity for someone to just sort of, through the development and recruiting happen. So if we only get one guy, that might be okay. And let's see what happens. We're in a better spot than we've been. And I think having Vanami plus Thomas Meyer got a lot of snaps. That tight end room looks juicy for the future. They got
Luke Brewer coming in too. Like
that's a security blanket there that reloads tight end U, and that just lets the receivers have a little bit less defensive pressure to worry about. It opens things up. So I like where we are. They do need to get somebody.
Throw Michael Burt in there, that tight end room too, because he's played some snaps to like. Dude, they got some freaking horses in the stable. Talk about that with tight end. I mean, they are going to be – and I don't want to count out Addison Estrenga. And the reason why I did not bring him up is because the timing of his injury just sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be pessimistic here. I'm trying to be realistic. He can prove me wrong, and I will be very happy for him if he stays healthy and gets to play a final year of college football. I just don't know how well conditioned he's going to be. I don't know what he's going to be able to do by the time the season comes around. He tore his Achilles the 3rd game of the season. Like, how soon can you realistically put him back out there even when he's medically cleared?
It is very hard to, like you said, he's been awesome for the Hawks. He's made some big plays in the past. Tough timing. It's just impossible to project if he can be effective in 26.
So again, not rooting against him, but you just have to keep it realistic. It's a long shot.
Couple quick bookkeeping things before we finish out this podcast. The sponsor of the year right now, no one else is on board. We got a couple others lined up, but right now, Gray's Gourmet to Go could be you could be in the transfer portal for a meal tonight. You're looking around. You're trying to figure out, hey, where am I going? Who's got the best offer here? It's Gray's Gourmet to Go. Chicken lips, get some of that buffalo sauce, that ranch. I'm telling you, if you trust Tyler Kluver one time. Trust Kluve one time with your dinner decision. Don't fuck around this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. I'm just saying, just take a chance. You can yell at me in the DMs or tag me on Twitter if I'm wrong. I want you to take a chance one time on Grays this weekend and tell them we sent you. Shout out to Pete and Kim Grays for being great people and a great partner. Also, before we get to some serious, a couple last serious questions from Sean Roberts, how much Fireball did Dave have in 2025?
I've never had Fireball in my life.
I feel like that's a lie.
It's just, you know,
I don't think that's true.
I go back to that LeVar Ball quote, and it's like, oh, a good amount to me. How many pairs of shoes sell? A good amount to me.
A good amount.
It was like 500. I think it was when he said that, and then he got pressed. I think I was on Colin Cowherd's show. Tell you what, that year and a half spell of LeVar Ball was incredibly entertaining. I don't care what anybody says.
He had his run.
Like him and Stephen A. Smith on First Take is all-time sports television.
Yeah. Mark, the perfect transfer, gave us so much, played his best in the bowl game. He leaves. How does in year 3 this offense evolve even further without Mark and potentially Hecklinski or somebody else in at quarterback? What are the biggest changes? What are the biggest developments of year 3 Tim Lester and this offense, where it'll see its third, even more than that with the injuries last year, fourth, fifth quarterback in 3 years?
I mean, number one, they actually get to work on the passing game in spring ball.
Yeah.
Remember, seriously, I mean, remember the first year, it was Deacon Hill. It's the only quarterback they had, and everybody knew he wasn't going to play, right? Cade was hurt still. This year, okay, Mark was here, but he couldn't do it. Hecklinski wasn't here. Hank Brown was practically the only real quarterback available at that time, too.
No.
So you get a healthy spring ball with wide receivers and a quarterback who has a shot at playing. You get all of that critical time. Summer workouts, they're all available. Like, it's just so many more reps and so many more times they can practice the routes, get timing of things down. Because I'll tell you what, if Mark Gronowski had been able to come back this season, expectation for next year, expectations, I'm not kidding you, with the schedule that Iowa has, they would be a college football playoff team.
Yeah.
They would have it. That would be I'm serious. That would be the expectation. Yeah. And I'm still not opposed to saying that I think they could win 9 games next year. Like the schedule right now lines up very well for Iowa, but that's also a big weight on the shoulder of a first-year starter at this 100%. Point. So Tyler, I mean, have you looked ahead to the schedule they got next year?
I'm pulling it up right now.
And by the way, again, the Big Ten games have not been finalized, so I want to read them out, and I'll tell you why my way too early projection is.
Yeah,
but they will not be in the order of which the game will be played.
Yeah, so out of conference will be Northern Illinois, Iowa State, and Northern Iowa. Obviously, with all the stuff happening in Ames, that Iowa State game
they're sweeping.
Yeah, it's
well, likely, and I don't think Rogers' comment really helped either. You know that's going to be played on repeat.
Little fuel on the fire, but you would like to think we can beat Northern Illinois, Iowa State, and Northern Iowa to start 3-0. Then in the Big Ten slate, you're looking at 9 games of, and again, not in order for those listening, but on the schedule: Illinois, Nebraska, Ohio State. Let me go back. At Illinois, Nebraska is home, Ohio State is home, Purdue is home, Wisconsin is home. We're at Michigan, at Minnesota, at Northwestern, at Washington.
That's a 9-10 win team.
It's not a bad schedule. I mean, again, teams change so much from year to year, but Nebraska did not take a step forward this year, and they lost Raiola, and they just lost a quarterback after one day in the port. You if you're choosing one way or another, that's a win for Iowa. Illinois is a tough ball club. I know they have a transfer quarterback coming in as well.
They lose a lot too, though, I believe.
We'll be at Illinois. Ohio State's a tough one in Kinnick. You probably chalk that one up to a loss, again, if you have to pick either way. Purdue should be a win. Wisconsin, I don't see them making such a large jump. And it's going to be in Kinnick.
And it's going to be at home, yeah.
Yep. Going to Michigan is tough. That's a tough game. Again, they're in sort of shambles.
I don't know what they're going to look like.
Who knows what Michigan is next year? Minnesota at this point is just a chalk dub. Until something
Yeah.
changes, chalk dub. At Northwestern,
Win.
that's a win, and then you're going to Washington. That'll be a tough one in Husky Stadium.
That's coin flip.
So,
if you're Vegas, you're putting the over under right now at 8.5 wins.
It'll probably find its way.
If you're FanDuel, yeah, it will. Of course, it will.
If you're FanDuel, best sports book on earth, it's somewhere between 7.5 or it's 8.5, and yeah, that is a decent schedule, man. I love having Ohio State at home. That could be such a sick game, depending on where it is and what the record is at the time.
Having Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith back, that's a little scary.
Hey,
Sayin's a really good quarterback. No, no. This is the type of stuff that drove me nuts when we talked about earlier the divisional games and stuff. You think Iowa doesn't want to play these games?
Right.
Of course they want to play. They're not making the schedule.
Right.
And everybody's, Iowa's ducking. They're not ducking anything. They're playing who is on the schedule. I mean, I remember going back to your team in 2015. You guys didn't shy away from anybody. You guys played who the hell was on your schedule.
The ducking comment is so funny. Like Coach Ferentz and the players sit down and like have any say.
Hey, Big Ten, please. I don't want to play any of the top 4 teams. Please just give me Nebraska, Purdue, Rutgers. We don't want to play anybody and give us all the credit when we win. Nobody's doing that.
Can we get Northwestern twice? Like for anyone who's listening, these schedules are created through an algorithm. Like it's like an AI. They feed it into and it spits out a bunch of possible schedules, and then the Big Ten eventually agrees on one. With 18 teams, you can't do it any other way. So Iowa just plays who gets put on their schedule. Now, there's still a couple tough games, but again, Ohio State's a tough one. Some of these other schools that are generally tough, there's so much turnover nowadays that like Nebraska, you just don't know where they're going to be. That one
I don't
comes
know.
back to Iowa City. Michigan, historically a tough matchup, but they've got a coach who's running around banging assistants. He gets fired. Now they have Whittingham. He's in a retirement home.
I'm very curious. Are they going to – well, to be fair, Iowa's got – I love KF, but, like, KF's still older than it.
No, it'll actually be
oh, yeah. Just go ahead.
No, it'll be a fun matchup between those two because they're the 2 oldest coaches in college football, some of the most tenure. That will be a very respectful week of talking about the opponent. It'll be great.
It'll be funny to me too, and I know Michigan fans, if they heard this, would jump on me very quick. But like, where's the focus lying right now with them? Are they 100% focused on football, or are they focused on cleaning up the reputation?
Right. I don't
because their reputation is in shambles right now. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens if it's a slow start to this era, how Michigan as an athletic department and everyone involved in it responds.
Right.
Just because, again, I don't like projecting that I just don't believe in doing that. But based on recent years and controversies, how are they going to respond to adversity if it hits them?
And not to say that like there's some gap right now. If Iowa and Michigan played today, Iowa wins the football game. So
I agree with you.
So it's not like Iowa has some gap to make up to make that a competitive ball game. Like it is at Michigan. It's at the Big House. That's about the only advantage that they really have, and their 5-star quarterback. But other than that, you've got a tough game out at Husky Stadium, a place you've never gone. You go to Illinois. That's going to be a battle with Bert Bielema. Old Birdie boy. And then you've got a bunch of classic Big Ten matchups where right now, just in the last few years, Iowa's really established themselves over the opponents. Of course, we're going to come next year and tell you they could lose this game. They could win this game. It's how it works in the Big Ten.
Yep.
Like David said, you got to feel good about the potential for 9, maybe 10 wins.
It could be a lot worse right now. Now, again, we need to see how Iowa ends up the board because you have to get a couple wide receivers that you feel like can be not just depth pieces.
Yep.
They got to be immediate guys.
Yep.
Right. But as far as the skill position goes, it's going to be up to the quarterback development, advancement in the passing game, winning at the line of scrimmage. And if Iowa does that, you have the best possible setup, like realistic setup going in the next season possible.
Takes me to my last topic, last question that we got asked about. Not really one that was super popular, but I did want to touch on it just because we are going to lose 3 draft picks on the offensive line. And that's not nothing. I know we feel good. I know they feel good. I know everyone feels good about the other 2 that we have coming back. You should. I think Lauk was rated like the 3rd best left tackle in the country. And I think Pieper was the best rated guard in the country. So you've got 2 dudes who are coming back. You lose Logan Jones, Jennings Dunker, Bo Stevens. Talk to me about the O-line room. I know Dotzler was in competition with Lauk to start the season. Does he slide over? Who do we have at the guard positions? Who's going to play center? What does that look like?
I'll say this. If nobody should be down George Barnett or the room at this point after what they did this year. The guys they have backing up, that backed up a lot of the guys that are leaving. They've played good football. They've played a lot of football. They've gotten a lot of reps. Like, I think the big deal is, what's Michael Myslinski's health going to be? Because he's a guy who struggled with injuries a lot through his career, but he was projected to be a really, really good center coming out of high school. I think he could slide in and be that starting center. Lucas Allgaier, the true freshman, he was on the 2 deeps for a good majority of the year. I think he could be a guy. I wish Iowa would go in the portal for one experienced interior guy. There could be a development on that later. We dropped some notes at HawkeyeInsider.com for that. I think that would be a nice boost. By the way, 50% off. Annual subscription still available.
Hey, Hawkeye Insider, baby. Sign up.
We got
sponsoring the show today.
And we got,
who the fuck is Cannon Leonard? And he's 6'9"?
Yeah, he's 6'9", about 330 pounds, 325 pounds. Yeah.
He's probably added weight since they put the roster. We have a 6'9" offensive lineman.
They've talked about, he had a big breakout in bowl prep.
So is he lined up?
Oh, he's massive. He's a massive.
Is he gonna be one of our tackles in 27 then?
I would not be surprised if he pushed in spring.
Wow.
I think it'd be a big jump for him, but it'll be him and Dotzler probably battling out for right tackle.
That guy is fucking huge.
Yeah, he's massive.
God. I don't think I ever played with a 6'9" guy. I think the tallest guys I played with were Anthony Nelson and Matt Nelson, like at 6'7".
Dude, it's weird when you look. You walk by these guys on the sideline again in football, and I'm looking like I have to move my neck upward to like look at you and talk to you.
How I lived for 5 years.
He's a massive guy.
Yeah,
dude.
I was doing that to the linebacker room, let alone the line rooms. So yeah, I fully understand that. But is it true that the sentiment is the staff feel good about the development and where they're at with that room?
Correct. Okay. Correct. I do think they get one interior guy if they can find a good value piece out of the portal in the interior. I think that makes a lot of sense. But as far as the future of the room, like you got to realize who George Barnett wants, he's pretty much gotten over the past few years. And if you spend 15 to 20 minutes talking to him, you see why he's really good at recruiting and cultivating these relationships. Or you don't even have to talk to him. Listen to the way Logan Jones and Jennings Dunker and these guys have talked about him. Like Logan Jones is almost teared up talking about how great of a leader George Barnett is. And how about when they got the Joe Moore Award, they call the offensive line up there and Logan goes, "Where's George at? Where's Barnett at?" And he just kind of stood off the side where he did not want to get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But like everybody erupted when they asked for George Barnett. So I think you got a leader like that. And a guy who people forget, and I get it, there were questions about him a couple of years ago. Tyler, he's coached offensive line for 23 years. He knows how to coach O-line, and you combine that with Kirk Ferentz. Like, you have to feel good about where they're at. Yes, you're replacing a lot. I'm not trying to downplay that. But when you're replacing this much, I feel like Iowa is in a good position based on the person. Like, this is as good of a position as you could possibly ask, in my opinion. If you get one more interior guy.
Love that. Well, that covered pretty much everything that we were asked about. You got anything else to preview this offseason? Anything exciting? Anything?
It's just going to be I'm very much
Iowa
excited
basketball,
for the next
top
2 weeks
20 in the
done.
country.
Dogs, dude. The big matchup tonight. at Minnesota. Then they got Illinois on Sunday. That Illinois game, dude. That I think Carver's going to be rocking.
Yeah.
For that.
Women, despite a tough performance at Northwestern,
survived.
Still survived. They're
bad.
playing well. They're ranked almost top 10, top
15. Yeah.
Programs are in a good spot, man.
It's fun. Like, it's funny to me, too, about the men's basketball side because everybody's so worried about McCollum's pace of play and stuff. Nobody's complaining about pace of play right now.
Yeah.
They make defense sexy. Defensive rotation.
I know. It's
like
great.
They're so fun. They're fun to watch, dude.
Again,
and they're good.
This comes out on Thursday. I think that's when obviously the semifinal games will happen this week. Any thoughts on the semis?
Is that third? God dang, I've been so entrenched in this. I'm conflicted. I would love Indiana to win it all.
Mm-hmm.
I think I love Fernando Mendoza. I actually really like Curt Cignetti, and what he's done is never going to be replicated, and it has broken a lot of fan bases. It's broken fan bases' brains. Yep. Like, it's not going to happen. There's something so great about the idea of Ole Miss winning and telling Kiffin to shove it and not give him a national championship ring or any of that. Because I don't care if LSU pays him the bonus. Because remember, LSU's footing the bill right now.
I know, it's crazy.
Kiffin got paid $500,000 and he wasn't even coaching the game. If I'm Ole Miss and you win it all, don't give him credit in the record book. Don't give him a ring. Because, hell, you can have him actively trying to get assistants off that team to go to LSU now. And the idea of that is absurd. They're in the semifinals.
Yeah.
The idea of that would be great. But the idea also of, like, Big Ten supremacy, after all the years of SEC bullshit we've had to hear, that idea is just so alluring to me. Because outside of Bama and Georgia, there's such a drop off in the SEC.
I agree.
Like, it's crazy.
I think the Indiana Ole Miss matchup for the championship would be sick. Just both stories making it to the championship, and then again leaning towards that Big Ten side of a third Big Ten team winning in 3 years. It could kind of play out perfect for us over here in Big Ten country, and I agree. It's a fun Final Four. I think the games are going to be great, and
Miami's defense, it might be the most insane defense I've ever watched.
Insane.
And I've watched some great Iowa defenses, but over the last 2 games watching them play, Tyler, I don't know how the hell they lost 2 games. I don't know how the hell people scored on them. They are so violent.
Yeah.
They are so insane at the point of attack. They are so on top of everything. You talk about 11 helmets on the ball. I don't think I've seen 2 better programs at that than Iowa over the last couple of years and this year's Miami team. They're ridiculous, dude.
It'll be interesting going up against a pretty high-powered offense. I think the spreads on FanDuel the last time we checked on those were 3.5 for the that game and 4.5 maybe for the Oregon-Indiana game. Fun matchups, fun episode with David Eichholt on the Power Hour. We don't have any hard plans for the offseason as far as doing this, but I think about once a month is probably there'll be enough stuff to talk about and kind of reconvene on that. You'll be hearing David on our feed a good amount.
That's probably, I was going to say probably about that, because I think once the portal closes, we actually have a night. Because remember, there's no second portal period. This is it.
Right. This is it.
So remember that. And then obviously with spring ball, we'll see whenever we get that schedule. And then obviously we got to see what happens with special teams coordinator. And I feel like I've said this every year over the past 3 years. This is going to be one of the most interesting off seasons that Iowa has had, because I think you can see what the potential is for next season.
Yeah.
And this is the first true quarterback battle that we've seen in how long? Like, I think Hecklinski is going to be the guy.
I don't know,
but it's gonna be fun.
It's been a while. I agree. Going to be interesting, and the potential is fun. It's always it's what if season now, so it's great. HawkeyeInsider.com for all the stuff that David and his colleagues are doing over there. Get the inside scoop before anybody else, and of course, Washed Up Walk-Ons. Patreon.com/washedupwalk-ons for the extra content that we're putting out. Thank you all for listening to this episode and tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.